Last time on Squared Circle History, Rob Van Dam and Sabu became the new ECW World Tag Team Champions, dethroning the fractured team of Chris Candido and Lance Storm. The Dudley Boys did the unthinkable, hitting Beulah with a Dudley death drop and ending her career. This left Tommy Dreamer an emotional and broken man. Frustrated with the shenanigans of the franchise Shane Douglas and the Triple Threat, Taz created his own World Heavyweight Championship, the FTW title. Taz was now on a path of rage to legitimize his belt. Join us on this trip as we journey back to ECW in 1998, Part 2. The July 7th edition of ECW TV saw the World Television Champion Rob Van Dam and Bill Alfonso cutting a victory promo with Sabu nowhere to be found. RVD said he can handle it on his own, but is willing to share a belt with Sabu. He talked about all the gold he has, saying, "When you think of a push, you think of Rob Van Dam." Joey Styles opened the show and introduced the ECW World Heavyweight Champion, the franchise Shane Douglas, and Francine. Douglas called out Taz, who was quick to arrive. Bam Bam Bigelow, Chris Candido, and Lance Storm approached Taz, with Storm insulting the FTW champion. Taz slapped Storm across the face, leading to a match. It didn't take long for Storm to tap out in a Taz mission. Masato Tanaka battled the Gladiator Mike Awesome in a wild match, pulverizing each other from the start. The New York crowd went wild for the action, with Awesome clearing the top rope with a huge dive onto Tanaka on the floor. They brutalized each other with high-impact maneuvers until Awesome bashed Tanaka on top of the head with a chair. Awesome then nailed Tanaka with an Awesome Bomb onto the chair. After Tanaka kicked out of a pinfall attempt, Awesome hit a big splash off the top rope, again only getting a 2 count. Awesome nailed a running Awesome Bomb on Tanaka and then set up a table on the floor. Out of nowhere, Tanaka connected with a roaring elbow and scored the pinfall victory. Awesome attacked after the bell, Awesome bombing Tanaka over the top rope and through the table on the floor. Referees and medics assisted a woozy Tanaka up the aisle. The Dudley Boys, Joel Gertner, and Jeff Jones cut a promo in the ring with Bubba Ray Dudley introducing their mystery partner. Terry Funk's music hit, with everyone looking towards the entrance. Bubba laughed, mocking the fans for believing that Funk was actually there. Gertner gave everyone grand introductions and mocked Beulah's injury. New Jack and John Cronus came to the ring with a barrel full of weapons, attacking the Dudleys. Jack Victory attempted to sneak up behind New Jack, but failed as New Jack whipped around and broke a guitar over Victory's head. New Jack soon fell victim to 3D, which brought out Tommy Dreamer and Spike Dudley wielding barbed wire. Meanwhile, Taz confronted Shane Douglas in the broadcast booth, with Bam Bam Bigelow ambushing Taz moments later. It was complete pandemonium, with Dreamer and Spike attacking while Taz and Bigelow brawled, and the show came to a close. The July 18th episode of ECW TV saw Bill Alfonso and the World Tag Team Champions Rob Van Dam and Sabu cut a promo. RVD said that they were ready to face any tag team from anywhere across the globe at Heatwave 98. New Jack cut a promo from inside a moving subway. He cut a passionate promo on Jack Victory, hyping their upcoming weapons match at Heatwave 98. New Jack said he was willing to risk it all to get revenge on Jack Victory. Taz cut a promo saying he could make it to the arena by the end of the show. He was angry that Shane Douglas and Bam Bam Bigelow were disrupting his training. In the broadcast booth, Francine dared Taz to step to the triple threat. Taz arrived at the end of the broadcast, brawling with Bigelow as the show faded to black. The July 25th episode of ECW TV emanated from the ECW arena and saw Taz cut a promo about Shane Douglas throwing down the NWA title in 1994. Taz said he thought it was cool until Douglas left for the WWF. He said that Douglas says he isn't a real world champion. With that said, Taz said that Douglas isn't a real franchise since he doesn't stick it out and wrestle. Taz said he, Tommy Dreamer, and the Sandman have been there since day one and remained loyal. Bam Bam Bigelow came to the ring, leading to an impromptu match. Chris Candido and Lance Storm attacked Taz to cause a disqualification and hit Rolling Thunder. Out came the ECW World Tag Team Champions Rob Van Dam and Sabu, who ran off the triple threat. After a tense stare-down, Taz and RVD nodded and held up their respective titles. A best-of-3 series began, with the winning team naming the stipulation for their 6-man tag match at Heatwave 98. The series began with Tommy Dreamer facing Bubba Ray Dudley. Dreamer was rendered a bloody mess and took a suplex from Bubba on the concrete floor. The fans in the front row pulled Dreamer to his feet, allowing him to battle back against Bubba. Sign Guy tripped up Dreamer, causing the Innovator of Violence to dive over the top rope onto Sign Guy, Joel Gertner, and Jeff Jones. Back in the ring, Dreamer nailed Sign Guy and Jones with a double DDT. Jack Victory brought in a guitar, which Bubba used to smash over the head of Dreamer and win the first fall. The next match featured the Sandman against Devon Dudley, which saw Sandman dive over the top rope and put Devon through a table. Devon gained the advantage and caned Sandman repeatedly with a Singapore cane while reciting the Dudley commandments. Sandman reversed a cane shot, hitting a White Russian leg sweep on Devon and winning the second fall. The third fall saw Spike Dudley against Big Dick Dudley, which was far from fair. Dick won the match and the series with ease. Backstage, Lance Storm performed a trust exercise, falling backwards, with his partner Chris Candido thankfully catching him. Storm showed off Candido's wounded ear, which had been torn off during a recent match against Rob Van Dam and Sabu. Highlights were shown of a recent bout between the World Tag Team Champions Rob Van Dam and Sabu against Chris Candido and Lance Storm. Candido competed with collegiate wrestling headgear to protect his injured ear. Things broke down, with Storm growing frustrated with his partner. Storm slapped Candido on the wounded ear and walked out on him. This allowed RVD and Sabu to pick up an easy win. A Pulp Fiction montage aired, beginning with Bill Alfonso, Rob Van Dam, and Sabu hyping themselves up. RVD addressed potential opponents they could defend their titles against at Heatwave. The Dudleys and Joel Gertner cut a promo on Tommy Dreamer and Beulah. Bubba said that anywhere they're stomping someone's head in is Dudleyville. He also showed no remorse for injuring Beulah and blamed Dreamer for bringing her to the ring. Tommy Dreamer cut a passionate promo from the locker room, crying and blaming himself for Beulah's injury. He banged his head repeatedly against a locker while reciting wedding vows, busting himself open and closing by saying, "Dudleys, and death do us part." The August 1st episode of ECW TV saw Joey Styles announce that FMW stars Hayabusa and Jinsai Shinzaki, the former Hakushi, would challenge Rob Van Dam and Sabu for the World Tag Team titles at Heatwave 98. Taz cut a promo saying he's been waiting 5 months to avenge his loss against Bam Bam Bigelow. He said that he can't let Bigelow beat him again, and at Heatwave, when the orange light hits, the mood will change. Taz closed by saying, "Beat me if you can, survive if I let you." Just Incredible teamed with Mike Awesome to battle Jerry Lynn and Masato Tanaka. Things broke down, with Lynn hitting a springboard plancha onto Credible in the crowd. Moments later, Awesome hit a huge dive into the crowd onto Tanaka. Awesome demolished a steel chair over the head of Tanaka, who soon kicked out of a Credible pinfall attempt. In an exciting conclusion, Awesome powerbombed Tanaka over the top rope and through a table. Meanwhile, Lynn drilled Credible with That's Incredible and scored the pinfall victory. Heatwave 98 took place on August 2nd, live on pay-per-view from Dayton, Ohio. It's widely considered the best top-to-bottom card in company history, beginning with Joey Styles introducing the ECW World Heavyweight Champion, the franchise, Shane Douglas, and Francine, who sat in on commentary. In the opening match, Just Incredible, backed by his entourage, battled Jerry Lynn to determine the winner of their summer series. They began with an exciting back-and-forth exchange, culminating in Lynn hitting a big dive from the top rope onto Credible on the floor. Credible's entourage got involved, allowing Credible to gain the advantage. Jason introduced a chair, which Credible used to bruise the skull of Lynn. On the floor, Nicole Bass held Lynn, while Jason got in a few cheap shots. This didn't stop Lynn, who DDT'd Credible onto a steel chair. Lynn nailed a Frankensteiner off the top rope, setting Credible crashing through the timekeeper's table on the floor. Jason and Bass tried to interfere behind the referee's back, with Lynn fighting them off. Chastity got involved, with Lynn spiking her with a tombstone. Lynn and Credible battled on the top rope, with Credible hitting That's Incredible on Lynn all the way to the mat below. This allowed Credible to score a pinfall victory, with Lynn quickly attended to by officials. Lance Storm battled Chris Candido, who was accompanied by his girlfriend, the former Sunny, Tammy Lynn Sitch. Storm removed the protective headgear from Candido, attacking the surgically repaired ear. Candido battled back and hit a big dive off the top rope onto Storm on the floor. Sitch got involved, tripping up Storm to allow Candido to regain the advantage. It wasn't for long, as Storm suplexed Candido over the top rope, sending him crashing to the floor with a sickening thud. Storm nailed Candido with a baseball slide, sending him barreling over the guardrail. This led to Storm springing off the top rope, nailing Candido with a high cross body into the second row. Storm superplexed Candido into the ring and then nailed a spinning heel kick off the top rope. Candido miraculously kicked out, with Storm scurrying for more attempts. Sitch handed Candido powder, with Storm kicking it into his eyes. Blinded, Candido knocked out the referee. Storm climbed to the top rope, with Sitch seducing him before clobbering him with a low blow. Sitch shoved the referee, causing her to have a wardrobe malfunction. Candido nailed a blonde bombshell powerbomb off the top rope, with Storm crashing to the canvas. This was enough to keep Storm down, with Candido scoring a pinfall victory. They cut to footage from earlier in the day, where New Jack cut a promo amongst the fans. Jack Victory approached, distracting New Jack while a car screeched onto the scene. It was the Dudley Boys, and they brutally attacked New Jack. As the Dudleys drove away, Balls Mahoney, Axel Rotten, and John Cronus attended to an injured New Jack. Thus, the weapons match between New Jack and Jack Victory was cancelled. Backstage, Bill Alfonso and the World Tag Team Champions Rob Van Dam and Sabu cut a promo on their opponents, Hayabusa and Jinsei Shinzeki. RVD mocked Shinzeki, saying Hakushi as he sneezed. Alfonso called them Japanese losers, while RVD said he was looking to continue his winning streak on pay-per-view. Sabu shoved RVD since their match on the last pay-per-view ended in a draw. RVD laughed it off and said, "It doesn't make you bad losing to Rob Van Dam, it just makes you like everybody else." Mike Awesome and Masato Tanaka collided in another war, wasting no time bruising one another from the bell. Awesome dove over the top rope with a tope, crashing onto Tanaka on the floor. Back in the ring, Tanaka gained the advantage. Tanaka grabbed a steel chair, ran the length of the 75-foot entrance ramp, and clobbered Awesome over the top of the head with said chair. They dueled with chairs on the floor, with Tanaka winning the exchange and clobbering Awesome over the back. Soon after, Awesome launched himself off the top rope, crashing onto Tanaka in the second row. Back in the ring, Awesome nailed an Awesome Bomb, with Tanaka kicking out at 2. Awesome nailed an Awesome Splash off the top rope, with Tanaka again kicking out at 2. Swinging a steel chair, Awesome clobbered Tanaka over the head repeatedly, denting the chair. Awesome hit a running Awesome Bomb on Tanaka, and then set up a table on the floor. Jumping off the top rope, Awesome clobbered Tanaka over the head with a steel chair. Awesome attempted to Awesome Bomb Tanaka over the top rope, but Tanaka wiggled free. Tanaka hit a powerbomb of his own, sending Awesome crashing through the table on the floor in a brutal moment. Back in the ring, Awesome miraculously kicked out at 2. Tanaka hit a roaring elbow, but Awesome again kicked out at 2. It took a tornado DDT onto a steel chair to keep Awesome down, with Tanaka scoring the pinfall victory. Backstage, Taz cut a promo about his upcoming FTW World Title defense against Bam Bam Bigelow. He said he had goosebumps in anticipation for the confrontation for the title that Taz called the most important in the business. This only riled up the franchise Shane Douglas, who joined Joey Styles in the broadcast booth. The Dudley Boys and Joel Gertner cut a promo in the back, with Bubba saying, "Dreamer, you can give your soul to Jesus, but your ass belongs to the Dudleys." Rob Van Dam and Sabu defended the ECW World Tag Team Championships against Hayabusa and Jinsei Shinzeki. The champions argued over who would start the match, with RVD kicking things off against Hayabusa. It was the FMW star that fared better in the exchange, slapping Sabu across the head before tagging in Shinzeki. Showing incredible balance, Shinzeki did the praying rope walk before crashing down onto RVD with a big chop. Sabu tagged in, aggressively attacking Shinzeki until it came down to the anticipated showdown between Sabu and Hayabusa. Taking Hayabusa to the mat, Sabu wore down his nemesis, eventually locking in a camel clutch. Things broke down, with Shinzeki launching himself to the floor onto RVD. Hayabusa hit an Asai moonsault onto all 3 competitors on the floor. Shinzeki and Hayabusa battered RVD in the crowd until Sabu launched himself off a chair, off the top rope, and into the crowd, colliding with his opponents. With Hayabusa draped over the guardrail, RVD nailed a corkscrew guillotine leg drop off the apron. RVD held Shinzeki in a surfboard submission, with Sabu diving off the top rope with a chair, connecting with the exposed ribs of Shinzeki. Hayabusa aided his partner and hit a flurry of double-team moves on RVD. Multiple pinfall attempts occurred, to no avail for either team. Sabu hit Shinzeki with a Frankensteiner off the top rope, with RVD then nailing a 5-star frog splash. The chaos continued, with Shinzeki powerbombing RVD, setting him up for a Phoenix Splash from Hayabusa. RVD and Sabu hit Hayabusa with Rolling Thunder and then attacked Shinzeki. Sabu locked in a Boston Crab, with RVD hitting a huge leg drop off the top rope onto a prone Shinzeki. With Hayabusa straddled on the top rope, Bill Alfonso held up a chair, with RVD hitting a leaping sidekick off the top, kicking the chair into the face of Hayabusa. Soon after, Hayabusa nailed RVD with a frog splash. RVD was quick to recover and hit Shinzeki with a Van Daminator. Hayabusa and Shinzeki were laid out onto a table in the middle of the ring. RVD and Sabu launched themselves off the top rope of opposite corners, hitting leg drops to send the challengers crashing through the table in a legendary moment. RVD initially made the cover on Shinzeki, with Sabu shoving his partner aside and scoring the pinfall victory. The champions retained their titles in an excellent match. Taz defended his FTW championship against Bam Bam Bigelow in a Pinfalls Anywhere match. They began by battering one another with power moves before taking the fight to the ramp. Taz connected with a Mafia kick to the side of Bigelow's head, knocking him off the ramp and into the crowd. The FTW champion dove off the ramp and onto Bigelow, who caught Taz and rammed him into a steel guardrail. Bigelow brawled with Taz through the crowd in a chaotic scene. They bounced one another off the concrete until continuing their trek around the building. Bigelow threw Taz over the guardrail and back to ringside, waffling him across the back with a steel chair. With a table set up in the corner, Bigelow Irish whipped Taz, sending him crashing through the table. A bloody Taz responded by hitting a T-bone Tazplex on Bigelow through the remains of the table in the opposite corner. Back on the ramp, Bigelow teased that he was going to toss Taz into the crowd. Taz reversed the attempt with a big DDT, sending them both crashing through the ramp. Bigelow was the first to emerge from the rubble, with Taz crawling out after him and locking in the Taz mission on the remaining portion of the ramp. Bigelow tapped out, with Taz scoring a submission victory. Shane Douglas was irate on commentary, claiming that Bigelow was reaching for the ropes. Taz taunted Douglas over the microphone, with Douglas tossing his monitor off the stage, crashing to the floor below. In the main event, the Dudley Boys, Bubba Ray, Devon, and Big Dick Dudley battled Tommy Dreamer, the Sandman, and Spike Dudley in a Dudleyville street fight. The opening minutes were relatively tame, but quickly broke down, with all six battling in the crowd. Blood spilled early, with everyone brawling around ringside. In the ring, Spike dove off the top of a tall ladder, landing on the three Dudleys on the concrete floor. The Sandman clobbered Devon with a ladder until Big Dick sent him to the floor. Bubba buried Dreamer under a ladder, crushing him with a senton bomb off the second rope. Spike planted Bubba with an acid drop, with Devon breaking up a pinfall attempt. A bloody Devon hit Spike with a sidewalk slam onto the ladder. Dreamer locked Sign Guy in a figure four, wrenching at his injured leg until Jeff Jones made the save. Jones pile drove a blow-up doll that was dressed up like Beulah. Dreamer wasn't amused and spiked Jones with a pile driver of his own. With the three Dudleys and Joel Gertner hanging in trees of woe, referee Jim Molyneux joined Dreamer, Sandman, and Spike in drop-kicking chairs into the faces of their opponents. Dreamer nailed Devon with a Dreamer driver, with Big Dick breaking up a pinfall attempt. Dick sent Dreamer crashing onto a ladder and then threw Spike over the top rope and through the timekeeper's table. Sandman clobbered Big Dick with the Singapore cane, only for Bubba to dent a steel chair over the head of the Sandman. Dreamer soon DDT'd Bubba onto a ladder and scored the pinfall victory. Jack Victory ran in and smashed a guitar over Dreamer's head, joining the Dudleys in a post-match beatdown. New Jack raced to the ring with a shopping cart full of weapons, smashing Victory and the Dudleys in succession. He even smashed a stop sign with a golf club, which was conveniently placed over the crotch of Jack Victory. New Jack got his revenge and smashed a guitar over Victory's head. Dreamer, Sandman, and New Jack each climbed a ladder, posing while Spike circled around them and the fans chanted ECW. The August 8th episode of ECW TV saw Bam Bam Bigelow claim that he never tapped out at Heatwave. Taz responded in a backstage promo saying that Bigelow should just accept defeat. He also said that now he's gotten past Bigelow, it's time to receive a shot at Shane Douglas's ECW World Heavyweight Championship. Douglas interrupted Joey Styles to close the show, saying that Taz is a pretender to the throne. The champion then said that Taz never made Bigelow tap out. The August 15th edition of ECW TV saw Lance Storm produce a document from the WWF claiming Tammy Lynn Sitch was still under contract and couldn't accompany Chris Candido to the ring. Candido attacked Storm, kicking off the rematch between the two. With the referee rendered unconscious, Candido knocked out Storm with a steel chain. Storm kicked out at 2, with Candido then taunting him over the microphone. On the top rope, Storm bashed Candido with the microphone below the belt and hit a big superplex to score a pinfall victory. Taz was set to defend the FTW Championship against Sabu until Bam Bam Bigelow interjected, making things a three-way dance. It was all-out mayhem, with Taz hitting a belly-to-belly suplex on Sabu, over the top rope, and onto Bigelow. Shortly after, Bigelow threw Sabu on top of Taz through the timekeeper's table at ringside. Back in the ring, Bigelow and Sabu worked together to throw Taz through a table set up in the corner. Later, Taz leveled Bigelow with a Brooklyn boot that sent him crashing through a table. Bigelow and Taz brawled in the crowd until Sabu launched himself off a chair, off the top rope, and diving into the crowd onto his opponents. Back in the ring, Sabu landed a perfect triple jump moonsault onto Taz, but only scored a 2 count. Taz was quick to recover and began tossing his opponents around with suplexes. Later, Taz ripped apart an uncooperative table and pummeled Bigelow and Sabu with the rubble. The fight briefly returned to the crowd until Sabu tossed a chair at the face of Bigelow in the ring. Taz then nailed Sabu with a belly-to-belly Tazplex onto a chair. Sabu locked Taz in a camel clutch, with Bigelow applying a choke of his own on Sabu. Once Taz was freed, he clobbered both Bigelow and Sabu over the head with a steel chair. Still, the fight made its way to the floor, where Sabu crashed onto Bigelow with a suicide dive through the ropes. Back in the ring, Bigelow tried to lock a Taz mission on Taz, who rolled out and pulled at Bigelow's arm. Sabu repeatedly threw a steel chair at the head of Taz, who responded in true Taz fashion by flipping off Sabu. Still, Sabu clobbered his opponents repeatedly with the chair, eventually busting open Bigelow's eye with a reckless shot. When all else failed, Sabu began stabbing his opponents with a railroad spike. Taz nailed Sabu with a driving dragon Tazplex. Later, Sabu locked Taz in a camel clutch. Bill Alfonso threw in the spike, which Taz intercepted and used to stab Sabu in the knee. Taz then gouged at Bigelow's forehead with the spike. All three were bloody and continued brawling until the 30-minute time limit expired. In the main event, Rob Van Dam defended the World Television Championship against Jerry Lynn. The opening minutes saw RVD use his educated feet to gain the advantage. Lynn soon got the better of RVD, causing the champion to retreat to the floor. The challenger continued to out-wrestle the champion, sending him to the floor and nailing a dive onto RVD. Back in the ring, RVD nailed a rolling corkscrew leg drop, with Lynn barely kicking out. Lynn caught RVD off guard, nailing him with 2 drop kicks off the ropes to send the champion to the floor. A baseball slide by Lynn sent RVD sailing into the crowd, with Lynn then nailing an Acai moonsault onto the champion. Back in the ring, Lynn broke RVD's nose with a front suplex and then nailed a leg drop from the second rope onto the champion. Lynn then hit a beautiful sunset flip on RVD off the top rope, only scoring a 2 count. RVD reversed a tornado DDT into a Northern Lights suplex, only scoring a 2 count. Lynn fought back, nailing RVD with a huge superplex. Bill Alfonso got involved, tripping up Lynn, who became distracted. This allowed RVD to crash onto Lynn with a guillotine leg drop. They battled on the apron, with Lynn nailing a tornado DDT off the second rope and sending RVD through the timekeeper's table. This earned an "Oh my God" from Joey Styles and riled up the fans in the ECW arena. Lynn tussled with Alfonso on the apron, who tried to hit him with a chair. While Lynn gained control of the chair, it was soon kicked into his face via a Van Daminator from RVD. Showing great instinct, Lynn rolled to the floor, with RVD forced to exert energy to roll the challenger back into the ring. Lynn showed signs of life with an inside cradle and then drilled the champion with a pile driver. Crawling on top of RVD, Lynn was only able to score a 2 count. Lynn climbed to the top rope, only for Alfonso to shove him off. With Lynn straddled on the top rope, Alfonso held a chair to his face, with RVD connecting with a leaping sidekick. RVD scored the pinfall victory to retain his title in a great match. The August 22nd edition of ECW TV saw the ECW World Heavyweight Champion, the franchise Shane Douglas, claim in the middle of the ring that he's a better champion than Rob Van Dam. Douglas was interrupted by Joel Gertner, who said that the Dudley Boys were looking to get a shot at the ECW World Tag Team titles that evening. World Television Champion RVD came to the ring with Bill Alfonso, with Douglas quickly retreating. Despite Sabu unable to compete, RVD said he'd be willing to defend the tag team titles at any time. Out came the entire Dudley clan, with Bubba insulting RVD. Moments later, RVD made quick work of Sign Guy and nailed Big Dick with a Van Daminator. The main event was set, RVD defending the tag team titles against Bubba Ray and Devon Dudley. Justin Credible was accompanied by his entourage for his match against the Sandman. Chastity got involved, caning Sandman and spraying the referee in the eyes with hairspray. Sandman attempted to pile drive Nicole Bass until Jason kicked him across the chest. Soon after, Credible defeated Sandman with That's Incredible in the middle of the ring. Jason and Bass held Sandman at each arm, with Credible caning him repeatedly. Backstage, Sandman cut a promo saying that Credible has lit a fire under his ass. Credible responded, challenging Sandman to a Singapore cane match on August 29th in the ECW arena. In the main event, RVD defended the World Tag Team titles against the Dudley Boys. Bubba and Devon nailed RVD with 3D, which brought out the injured Sabu. He clobbered the Dudleys with a chair, laid them on a table, and put them through it with a leg drop off the top rope. Out came Bam Bam Bigelow, who attacked Sabu, while Shane Douglas and Chris Candido brought a table into the ring. The triple threat laid Sabu and RVD out on a table, with Candido climbing to the top rope. Taz ran out, shoving Candido off the top rope and clearing the ring. The fans began to chant "New Triple Threat" as Bill Alfonso attempted to convince Taz to join his tandem of RVD and Sabu. The show ended without Taz's response. The August 29th episode of ECW TV saw Chris Candido come to the ring with Tammy Lynn Sitch by his side. Tammy called out Lance Storm, saying she was going to slap his face. Out came Storm, who received his slap before Candido threw him out of the ring. Tammy said she was there to stay and planned to run Storm back to Canada. In the main event, Rob Van Dam and Sabu were scheduled to defend the ECW World Tag Team Championships against the Dudley Boys. ECW World Heavyweight Champion The Franchise Shane Douglas and Francine interrupted, with Douglas interjecting Chris Candido and Bam Bam Bigelow to make it a three-way dance. It was wild, with everyone brawling around the ring, while RVD and Bigelow battled inside the ring. Bigelow rolled to the floor, with RVD crashing down onto him with a splash off the top rope. Sabu launched off of a chair, off the top rope, and onto Devon and Bigelow below. Candido took a page out of Sabu's book and connected with a dive of his own. Bigelow and Bubba clashed, with the referee getting in the way. Joey Styles said, "Can this get any crazier?" which brought out Taz, who cleaned house. Just as Taz chased away Douglas, Candido hit Bubba with a big splash, pinning him to eliminate the Dudleys. The match continued, with RVD and Sabu nailing Bigelow with Rolling Thunder. Moments later, Sabu launched himself off a chair and bulldogged Bigelow through a table. RVD nailed Candido with a Van Daminator and scored the pinfall victory to retain the titles for he and Sabu. The September 5th edition of ECW TV saw Lance Storm introduce his new valet, Tammy Lynn Bitch. He claimed this was the real woman that did favors for Vince McMahon, had a revolving door in the locker room, and was the heartbreak chick. Out came Chris Candido and Tammy Lynn Sitch, who was making her first official appearance as a full-time member of the ECW roster. This kicked off a great back-and-forth match between Candido and Storm. Storm wriggled out of a blonde bombshell and attempted a Frankensteiner off the top rope. Candido held onto the top rope, with Storm crashing to the mat. Tammy Bitch broke Candido's pin attempt, with Tammy Sitch ripping her dress off. Storm grabbed Sitch, hoisting her up for a suplex. Candido wrapped a chain around his fist and punched Storm in the back, with Tammy Sytch rolling him up to score a pinfall victory. Justin Credible and Jason battled the Sandman in a Singapore cane match. In the end, the Sandman scored the pinfall victory on Jason. Credible and his entourage whisked Jason away, with the referee informing Credible that Jason had to take his lashings. Despite Jason walking away, referee John Finnegan said that Jason would be barred for life if he didn't adhere to the stipulation, beginning a 10 count. Jason entered the ring at 9, with Sandman giving him 10 shots with the Singapore cane. Sandman gave out more, caning Credible and Jason for an 11th time. Nicole Bass ran in, with Sandman delivering a White Russian leg sweep. Credible returned, caning Sandman repeatedly and aggressively. Wearing his opponent's shirt, Credible stood tall, with the Singapore cane in hand, declaring himself the extreme icon of ECW. The September 12th episode of ECW TV began with Bill Alfonso interrupting Joey Styles' intro. Fonzie called out Taz, who was quick to respond and less than pleased. Wanting to form a new triple threat, Fonzie asked Taz for a handshake. The triple threat interrupted, with the ECW World Heavyweight Champion, the franchise Shane Douglas, saying that Taz couldn't cut it in the real triple threat. Douglas said that Taz wasn't a real world champion, with Taz challenging him to put his money where his mouth is. Both Taz and Fonzie insulted Douglas and Francine, with the triple threat attacking. One by one, the triple threat beat down Taz and Alfonso until the World Tag Team Champions Rob Van Dam and Sabu ran in for the save. Backstage, Lance Storm cut a promo with Tammy Lynn Bitch by his side. Storm talked about Tammy Lynn Sytch, but said that he lasted a second longer than Candido normally does. Tommy Dreamer was forced to compete in a gauntlet match in order to get to Jack Victory. He first faced dastardly Danny Doring, with Victory quickly getting involved to attack Dreamer. More of Mr. Right's minions attacked Dreamer, who fought right back. Dreamer drop-kicked a ladder into the face of Victory and bloodied him in the crowd. Back in the ring, Dreamer continued to batter Victory. Shortly after, Victory delivered an atomic drop to Dreamer, crotch first onto a steel guardrail. Victory followed it up by pile-driving Dreamer onto the guardrail. Wright's cronies laid the boots to Dreamer until the Blue Meanie and Supernova ran in with barrels full of weapons for the save. Meanie and Nova pummeled Wright's cronies with weapons, with Nova even using a Captain America shield. Soon, Dreamer placed the shield over Victory's crotch and clobbered it with a bowling ball inside of a bag. This was enough for Dreamer to score a pinfall victory. Meanie and Nova held Wright in the corner, with Dreamer rolling a bowling ball into his crotch. Dreamer then danced in the ring with Meanie and Nova while wearing Hat Guy's signature straw hat. In the main event, Bam Bam Bigelow battled Masato Tanaka in a hard-hitting bout. They dueled with chairs, each taking shots to the head. Bigelow brought a table into the ring and soon threw Tanaka through it. RVD and Sabu interfered, attacking Bigelow and laying him onto a table. Launching off of opposite corners, RVD and Sabu put Bigelow through the table with diving leg drops. Tanaka crawled on top of Bigelow and scored the pinfall victory to end the show. The September 19th edition of ECW TV saw Jason pay Jack Victory to be Just Incredible's new bodyguard. Another new member joined Credible's entourage, Rod Price. The Sandman battled Price in a wild brawl that saw Credible interfere to distract the Sandman. Jack Victory attacked from behind, restraining Sandman so Credible could pulverize him with the Singapore cane. Tommy Dreamer raced in with a trash can and attacked Credible and his entourage. The one-man gang ran in, attacking Dreamer and Sandman and delivering big splashes. Spike Dudley made the save and had an impromptu match with the gang. Spike was victorious with the acid drop. The September 26th episode of ECW TV began with the late-breaking news that the Sandman had left the promotion and signed with WCW. Tommy Dreamer paced in the ring, discussing the history of the company. Dreamer discussed the toughness of the locker room and put over the Sandman being there from the beginning. He said that he wants to give the Sandman the send-off that he deserves. Dreamer thanked Sandman for everything he'd done for the company and cracked open a beer for him. Jack Victory interrupted, calling Dreamer a kiss-ass. Dreamer attacked Victory, with Rod Price interfering to help batter the innovator of violence. The lights went out, with Enter Sandman playing over the speakers. When the lights flashed back on, it was Just Incredible with a Singapore cane in hand. Victory and Price restrained Dreamer, with Credible caning him repeatedly over the head until he was bloody. Credible then caned Dreamer repeatedly over the back until members of the locker room raced to the ring for the save. The show ended with Just Incredible standing backstage with his entourage. He declared himself as the new innovator of violence, as well as the new hardcore icon. The October 3rd edition of ECW TV began with footage of Mike Awesome blowing out his ACL in a match against Balls Mahoney. In an emotional scene, Awesome announced his semi-retirement. JT Smith made a surprise return, attacking the full-blooded Italians and celebrating with the fans. Joey Styles interviewed Bill Alfonso, with the World Tag Team Champions Rob Van Dam and Sabu pacing in the background. Fonzie brought out Taz and gifted him a newly designed FTW Championship. Taz reluctantly accepted the belt, with Fonzie saying he wants to shake hands with Taz to declare him a part of the new Triple Threat. Throwing a wrench in Fonzie's plans, Taz said he wanted to shake the hand of Sabu. Once Sabu begrudgingly extended his hand, Taz brushed past him, laughing. A bandaged and bloody Tommy Dreamer limped to the ring and challenged Just Incredible and his entourage to a Philadelphia street fight. Dreamer introduced his partners, New Jack and John Cronus, known as the Gangstanators. Wielding multiple weapons, Dreamer and his partners brutalized their opponents, eventually picking up the victory. Ring crew member Billy Wiles was cleaning the ring when fans began to insult him. Wiles grabbed the microphone and began to berate the fans. Out came the returning 911, who chokeslammed Wiles. Jeff Jones ran in, high-fiving 911 and hyping his history in the ECW arena. Jones dared anybody to face his killer monster, with Little Spike Dudley answering the challenge. Spike was quick to hit the acid drop and score the victory. The Triple Threat made their way to the ring for the main event, with ECW World Heavyweight Champion the franchise Shane Douglas making his return to action. Their opponents were the World Tag Team Champions Rob Van Dam and Sabu, and their mystery partner, Masato Tanaka. The Dudley Boys interfered to attack RVD, Sabu, and Tanaka, even hitting 3D on Tanaka. The Triple Threat fought with the Dudleys to batter RVD and Sabu, with members of the locker room attempting to run in and make a save. Everyone failed, with the Triple Threat and the Dudleys dominating the competition. Taz made his entrance, taking out Bigelow and Candido. Douglas tried a sneak attack, with Taz nailing him with a T-bone Tazplex. Taz shook the hand of Fonzie and high-fived RVD. After some brief tension, Taz and Sabu slapped hands before posing with their respective belts. The October 10th episode of ECW TV featured highlights of a mixed tag match featuring Chris Candido and Tammy Lynn Sitch against Lance Storm and Tammy Lynn Bitch. The October 17th edition of ECW TV began with Jerry Lynn against Chris Candido. Prior to the bout, Mikey Whipwreck confronted Lynn, angry that he'd accept a match against Candido instead of facing him again. Meanwhile, Candido got into an argument with Tammy Lynn Sitch, demanding she not be at ringside for this match. After a great back-and-forth bout, Lance Storm interfered. Storm attacked the referee from behind and nailed Candido with multiple pile drivers. Tammy Lynn Bitch began slapping Candido across the face until Tammy Lynn Sitch ran in and attacked Storm. Tammy Bitch clobbered Tammy Sitch across the back with a loaded purse before dancing over her unconscious body. Whipwreck ran in, brawling with Storm before clotheslining him to the floor. Tammy Bitch threw powder into the eyes of Whipwreck, but he still managed to hit her with a whippersnapper. Tammy Sitch checked on a blinded Whipwreck, who nailed her with a whippersnapper. Storm entered the ring with a chair, only for Whipwreck to shove Lynn into Storm. An angry Storm leveled Lynn with a chair shot to the head, with Candido making the cover and scoring the pinfall victory. Rob Van Dam defended the World Television Championship against Lance Storm. RVD springboarded off a steel guardrail, colliding onto Storm with a somersault plancha. The champion tried the move again, with Storm drop-kicking him into a row of chairs. Back in the ring, Storm showcased his own aerial arsenal, but failed to score the pinfall. After a flurry of reversals, RVD nailed a corkscrew leg drop onto a chair conveniently placed on Storm's face. Storm got a hold of the chair, clobbering RVD repeatedly over the head with it. He dodged a Van Daminator, waffling RVD over the head with a chair, but only scoring a 2 count. Bill Alfonso distracted Storm, allowing RVD to hit a leaping sidekick off the top rope, kicking the steel chair into the face of Storm. Somehow, Storm kicked out. RVD nailed a beautiful 5-star frog splash and scored the pinfall victory to retain his title. The main event saw Justin Credible, with his entourage in tow, battle Tommy Dreamer in an extreme death match. After brawling around ringside, Credible hit a drop toe hold on Dreamer onto the backrest of a steel chair set up in the middle of the ring. Dreamer didn't stay down long, taking out Credible's entourage one by one. He then nailed a Dreamer driver on Credible, only for Rod Price to attack Dreamer from behind. This began a 2-on-1 assault on Dreamer until John Cronus ran in for the save. Jack Victory raced in, stomping on Dreamer and Cronus. Credible assisted Victory in hitting Dreamer with a spike pile driver. New Jack raced to the ring with a trash can full of weapons, pulverizing Credible and company. Not even Lance Wright was safe, with New Jack smashing a guitar over his head. Victory took a hockey stick shot below the belt, courtesy of New Jack, with a brawl then ensuing through the crowd. New Jack dove off the top of the bleachers, putting a bloody Victory through a table. Back in the ring, the one-man gang attacked Dreamer and Cronus, hitting big splashes on each. Little Spike Dudley raced to the scene with a ladder, only for the gang to clobber him with a trash can. The gang back suplexed Spike onto the ladder, only for Spike to put Gang through a table with an acid drop and strangely score the pinfall victory. The October 24th episode of ECW TV saw Bam Bam Bigelow battle Sabu. In mere minutes, Sabu launched himself off a chair, bouncing off the top rope to hit Bigelow with a high cross body into the second row. Minutes later, Sabu hit an Asai moonsault onto Bigelow on the floor. Sabu failed to put Bigelow through a table that was set up between the guardrail and the side of the ring. Bigelow knocked Sabu off the top rope and then viciously hip-tossed him over the top rope and through the table on the floor. Sabu battled back and hit a triple jump moonsault onto Bigelow. When that didn't work, Sabu nailed an Arabian facebuster and locked Bigelow in a camel clutch. The ECW World Heavyweight Champion, the franchise Shane Douglas, ran in, clobbering Sabu with a clothesline. Rob Van Dam raced to the scene, brawling with Douglas. Meanwhile, Bigelow hit Greetings from Asbury Park on Sabu on top of a foiled RVD who attempted to take out Bigelow's leg. The Beast from the East scored the pinfall victory. Chris Candido joined Douglas in attacking RVD, with the Dudley Boys soon joining in on the beatdown. Taz made his entrance, quickly clearing the ring and chasing everyone off except Sabu. Douglas stayed behind to wrench at the injured neck of Sabu. Taz raced back to run off Douglas and attend to an injured Sabu. The Halloween edition of ECW TV saw Rob Van Dam and Sabu defend the World Tag Team titles against the Dudley Boys. Originally, Balls Mahoney and Masato Tanaka were scheduled to receive a title shot, only for the Dudleys to savagely attack them from behind with steel chairs. Officials came to the ring to assist the now bloodied Mahoney and Tanaka. Bill Alfonso challenged the Dudleys, with Sabu becoming irate when Fonzie made it a title match. The champions gained an early advantage, hitting huge aerial moves into the crowd onto their opponents. Back in the ring, RVD and Sabu hit dueling splashes off the top rope onto Bubba Ray and Devon. RVD hit a springboard somersault plancha off the top rope onto Bubba in the crowd. Sabu attempted to put Devon through a table, but sent himself crashing through it instead. The triple threat raced in, with Bam Bam Bigelow nailing Sabu with greetings from Asbury Park. ECW World Heavyweight Champion Shane Douglas wrenched at Sabu's already injured neck. Taz made his entrance, trying to fight off the triple threat by himself. He failed, suffering a beatdown. Back in the ring, the Dudleys finished off Sabu with 3D, scoring the pinfall victory to become the new ECW World Tag Team Champions. New Jack cut a promo from a stairwell addressing Just Incredible and Jack Victory. He said he would be Tommy Dreamer's mystery partner at the November to Remember. Suddenly, Jack Victory and Rod Price snuck up behind New Jack. Victory smashed a guitar over the back of New Jack's head, leaving him writhing in pain. November to Remember took place on November 1st, live on pay-per-view. The show began with footage of New Jack ambushing Jack Victory in the parking lot. Security intervened, with New Jack handcuffed and escorted away. As Joey Styles did his intro, Terry Funk made his way through the crowd wearing a graduation cap. Funk stole the microphone from Styles, angry that he didn't receive an invitation to the event. He insulted Tommy Dreamer over the microphone, saying that 6 years ago, Dreamer came to him looking for a mentor. Funk said that Dreamer promised to call him in time of need, and he's been waiting for a phone call. Dreamer made his way to the ring, with Funk insulting him to his face. Funk threw his microphone at Dreamer, shouting profanities at him before leaving. The opening bout saw the Blue Meanie and Supernova clash with Dastardly Danny Doring and the Angry Amish Roadkill. Terry Funk again made his way to ringside, attacking the Timekeeper and the Meanie. The Meanie fought back, knocking Funk off the ring apron. Middle-aged and crazy, Funk put himself through the Timekeeper's table. Meanie and Nova went on to win their match, only for Funk to attack them from behind with a piece of the broken table. After pummeling Meanie and Nova, Funk teased a double flip off the ropes. Paul Heyman ran to the scene, literally begging Funk to stop. Funk wept, but then attacked a security guard. Security dragged Funk away, kicking and screaming. Mabel made a surprise appearance as a member of the Full-Blooded Italians. Fighting alongside Ulf Herman, Mabel fought off Chris Chetty. Spike Dudley made his way to the ring, making quick work of the two giants. In mere minutes, Spike put both down with acid drops and scored a pinfall victory. Lance Storm, with Tammy Lynn Bitch in his corner, battled Jerry Lynn with both Mikey Whipwreck and Tammy Lynn Sitch serving as special guest referees. It was a hard-hitting bout that even saw Sitch strip Bitch to her lingerie. Whipwreck delivered a whippersnapper to Bitch and then one to Lynn. Storm delivered a low blow to Whipwreck and then covered Lynn. Sitch made a slow count and then hit Storm with a whippersnapper. Whipwreck snuck up on Sitch and nailed her with a whippersnapper. Lynn rolled up Storm with a small package, with Whipwreck proceeding to reverse in Storm's favor. Whipwreck made a fast count, giving Storm a pinfall victory. Terry Funk stormed the broadcast booth, apologizing for his actions. Funk apologized to the fans, Tommy Dreamer, and Paul E. He said that the hardcore legend was going home forever. The ECW World Tag Team Champions, the Dudley Boys, came to the ring with their entire clan. After a titillating introduction from Joel Gertner, the Dudleys competed against Balls Mahoney and Masato Tanaka, who were accompanied by the injured Axel Rotten. It was an all-out war from the start, with Axel and the rest of the Dudley clan getting involved in the madness. Both teams dueled with steel chairs, with Tanaka and Mahoney taking brutal chair shots to the head. But Tanaka and Mahoney bounced back, hitting roaring elbows to knock the steel chairs into the faces of Bubba Ray and Devon. Referee Jeff Jones made a 2 count, feigning an injury before the 3. Axel proceeded to smash a chair over Jones's skull. The Dudleys nailed Tanaka with 3D, with Tanaka barely kicking out before 3. Bubba and Devon argued, even slapping one another. They turned around, right into brutal chair shots from Mahoney and Tanaka, who shockingly only scored a 2 count. Tanaka and Mahoney hit their respective finishers on Bubba and Devon onto chairs, again only scoring a 2 count. Bubba hit a Bubba Bomb on Tanaka onto a steel chair before joining Devon in bringing tables into the ring. Rob Van Dam and Sabu raced to the ring, clobbering the Dudleys with chairs and laying them out onto tables. Climbing to opposite corners, RVD and Sabu crossed one another with a frog splash and a flying leg drop to put Bubba and Devon through the tables. Tanaka and Mahoney made the cover and scored the pinfall victory to become the new ECW World Tag Team Champions. Backstage, the Triple Threat cut a promo with the ECW World Heavyweight Champion, the franchise Shane Douglas, predicting that the new Triple Threat would crumble in the main event. Justin Credible and Jack Victory came to the ring with their entourage to face Tommy Dreamer and his dream tag team partner, Jake the Snake Roberts. Rod Price and the one-man gang interfered, attacking Dreamer and Roberts. New Jack and Cronus ran in with weapons, pulverizing Credible and company. Chastity got involved, with Dreamer nailing her with a pile driver. Roberts followed it up by hitting Nicole Bass with a DDT. Credible then felt the DDT from Roberts onto a ladder, with Dreamer joining in to score the pinfall victory. As Dreamer and Roberts walked up the ramp, Terry Funk emerged from the entrance. Funk criticized Dreamer for choosing Roberts over him. Roberts walked off as Funk accused Dreamer of using him. Funk shouted obscenities in Dreamer's face, who soon said he'd never strike his mentor. Dreamer turned his back, with Funk attacking him with the microphone. Funk pummeled Dreamer, who refused to strike back. Officials came to the scene, with Funk demanding that Dreamer say that he was sorry. In the main event, the ECW World Heavyweight Champion, the franchise Shane Douglas, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Chris Candido, better known as the Triple Threat, battled the FTW Champion Taz, the World Television Champion Rob Van Dam, and Sabu. The Dudley Boys attacked RVD and Sabu from behind as they made their entrance. Taz made his entrance, marching to the ring to hand out suplexes to Candido and the Dudleys. Bigelow attacked Taz to kick off a brawl involving all six to start the match. RVD hit a beautiful splash off the top rope onto Douglas and Candido on the floor. Sabu took a beating, with the Triple Threat targeting his injured neck. RVD tagged in, quickly taking out all three members of the Triple Threat. Taz tagged himself in, eventually getting his hands on Douglas and locking in the Taz mission. Sabu jumped off the top rope with a steel chair, nailing an Arabian facebuster onto both Douglas and Taz. Sabu then covered Douglas and scored the pinfall victory. Taz and Sabu got in each other's faces, with RVD and Fonzie trying to separate the two. The show ended with Joey Styles asking whether or not Sabu was a team player or stealing Taz's thunder. The November 14th edition of ECW TV began with Taz interrupting Joey Styles' introduction. The World Heavyweight Champion, the franchise Shane Douglas, and Francine interrupted. Douglas made an interesting proposition to Taz. Take out Sabu before January and reap the benefits. Taz walked off, considering the offer. The Dudley Boys came to the ring, with Bubba Ray Dudley insulting Axl Rotten's sick grandfather. It was revolting, with Sign Guy screaming in Bubba's face in disgust. Devon slapped Sign Guy across the face. Joey Styles soon apologized for the tasteless segment. ECW World Tag Team Champions Balls Mahoney and Masato Tanaka defended their gold against the Dudleys in a brawl from the get-go. Bubba introduced a cheese grater, ripping at the forehead of Mahoney. A bloody Mahoney soon fought back and ended up smashing a chair over Joel Gertner's head. Both teams dueled with chairs, with all four taking brutal chair shots to the head. Soon after, the Dudleys hit Tanaka with 3D and scored a pinfall victory to become the ECW World Tag Team Champions for a 5th time. Rob Van Dam defended the ECW World Television Championship against Tommy Dreamer. RVD hit a springboard somersault plancha off a guardrail and into the crowd onto Dreamer. Back in the ring, the two battled over a chair, with Dreamer soon suplexing RVD on top of it. Dreamer then nailed a frog splash of his own, following it up with a big pile driver. A Dreamer driver soon followed. Dreamer wedged a table between the ring and a guardrail, laying RVD across it. He prepared for a triple jump splash, only for Sabu to trip up Dreamer. RVD laid Dreamer onto the table, with Sabu hitting a triple jump elbow drop to put Dreamer through the table. Back in the ring, Dreamer spiked RVD with a Spicoli driver. The ECW World Heavyweight Champion, the franchise Shane Douglas, raced into the ring, attacking Sabu. As they battled, Taz raced to the scene, only to be attacked from behind by Chris Candido. RVD launched off the top rope with a plancha, landing on everyone below. Meanwhile, Just Incredible raced into the ring, caning Dreamer and then nailing That's Incredible. RVD hit Dreamer with a 5-star frog splash, but only scored a 2 count. With Dreamer crouched on the top rope, Bill Alfonso held a chair in front of his face. RVD nailed a leaping sidekick off the top rope, kicking the chair into Dreamer's face. This was enough to put away Dreamer, with RVD scoring the pinfall victory. The November 21st episode of ECW TV saw Jerry Lynn prepare to face Lance Storm. Mikey Whipwreck interrupted, begging Lynn for his match with Storm. Lynn agreed, with Mikey battling Storm in a wild bout that saw the referee rendered unconscious. Storm held up a helpless Mikey, with Tammy Lynn Bitch slapping him repeatedly. Out came Lynn, who clobbered Storm with a chair. He then delivered a whippersnapper to Mikey. Lynn dragged an unconscious Storm on top of Mikey, with Storm gaining a pinfall victory. New Jack cut a promo from Harlem, saying that's where he feels most at home. He called himself the original gangster, saying he's out for himself. New Jack said he puts asses in seats and doesn't even need to have a match to give the fans what they want. He issued an open challenge for anybody to face him. New Jack said that he's not going to any other promotions, saying that he's with ECW for life. Fan cam footage aired of a recent match between the ECW World Heavyweight Champion, the franchise Shane Douglas, and Sabu. The bout ended with both men going through a table and landing with each man's arm on the other. 2 referees counted the pinfall, with an argument erupting. Bam Bam Bigelow lost his cool, hitting Greetings from Asbury Park on referee Jeff Jones, shoving Chris Candido, and even shoving Francine. Douglas got in Bigelow's face, with the Beast from the East shoving the champion. Bigelow then brawled with Sabu, with World Television Champion Rob Van Dam making the save. This led to a bout between RVD and Bigelow, brawling all over the arena. Back in the ring, RVD launched off the top rope with a leaping sidekick, kicking a steel chair into the face of Bigelow. This was enough for RVD to score a pinfall victory and retain his title. With Francine in his corner, Shane Douglas defended the ECW World Heavyweight Championship against Little Spike Dudley, who came equipped with a ladder. Both Chris Candido and Francine got involved, allowing Douglas to lock Spike in the reverse full Nelson. Sabu raced in, with Taz close behind, to lock in the Taz mission to end the show. The November 28th edition of ECW TV saw the ECW World Heavyweight Champion, the franchise Shane Douglas, cut a promo in the ring with Francine by his side. Douglas said that he'd outsmarted Rob Van Dam Sabu, and Bill Alfonso. He introduced Taz, saying to his face that they are one in the same. Douglas said that Taz deserves a title shot, not Sabu. He said that since Bam Bam Bigelow is gone, the champion needs someone to watch his back. Douglas proposed that he and Taz face Rob Van Dam and Sabu in the main event. Lance Storm backed himself into a corner, saying that he could beat both Jerry Lynn and Mikey Whipwreck in the same night. Senior referee Jim Molyneux called Storm out on it and said Storm would face both back-to-back, starting with Lynn. Highlights were shown of a great back-and-forth encounter, which ended in controversy. Tammy Lynn Bitch hopped onto the apron, with Mikey chasing after her. Storm shoved Lynn into the ropes, knocking Mikey off the apron. This allowed Storm to clobber Lynn with Tammy's purse and score the pinfall victory. Mikey then received his match against Storm, with Lynn interfering to clobber Mikey with the loaded purse. This allowed Storm to make good on his claim and score a second victory. In the main event, the ECW World Heavyweight Champion, the franchise Shane Douglas, and the FTW Champion Taz battled the ECW World Television Champion Rob Van Dam and Sabu. As expected, it was all-out mayhem, with Sabu putting Taz through a table propped up between the ring and a guardrail. Sabu pulled a spike out from his boot and began stabbing Douglas repeatedly on the forehead. Diving off the top rope, Sabu nailed an Arabian facebuster on Douglas and scored the pinfall victory. Sabu locked a bloody Douglas in a camel clutch, but soon saw himself locked in a Taz mission. Bill Alfonso clobbered Taz over the back of the head with a steel chair, but Taz kept the Taz mission locked in. Taz turned Sabu upside down with a Tazplex, with Sabu landing on his head. Officials rushed to the scene to attend to an injured Sabu. Paul Heyman was in the middle of the madness, talking sense into Taz and attempting to calm RVD and Fonzie down. Taz pushed through everyone and began stomping on Sabu. Security escorted Taz away as Sabu was stretchered away from the ring. The December 5th episode of ECW TV emanated from Tampa, Florida, and saw Terry Funk confront Tommy Dreamer in the ring. Funk went ballistic, clobbering Dreamer repeatedly with a microphone. Dreamer refused to strike his mentor, allowing Funk to bloody him and toss him to the floor. Sabu was already back in action, competing in a neck brace to battle the angry Amish Roadkill. The ECW World Heavyweight Champion, the franchise Shane Douglas, and Francine looked on from the crowd. Across the arena, FTW Champion Taz stood in the crowd, stalking Douglas and laughing at Sabu. The match ended when Sabu hit a diving leg drop off the top rope, putting Roadkill through a table and pinning him for a victory. The December 12th edition of ECW TV began with footage of Bubba Ray Dudley assaulting a reporter in the front row. Bubba joined Devon to defend the ECW World Tag Team titles in a three-way dance against Rob Van Dam and Sabu, and the ECW World Heavyweight Champion, the franchise Shane Douglas, and the FTW Champion, Taz. During the bout, Taz nailed Sabu with a Tazplex, further injuring the already injured neck. The Dudleys then hit Sabu with 3D and scored a pinfall victory to retain their titles. Just Incredible battled Masato Tanaka to determine the #1 contender to Rob Van Dam's ECW World Television Championship. Prior to the bout, Chastity shed her oversized flannel to reveal a tight black dress. Credible was irate, while Jason couldn't help but stare. While Jason and Chastity failed with their interference, Tommy Dreamer raced in to prevent Credible from using his Singapore cane. Tanaka hit Credible with Diamond Dust and scored a pinfall victory. In the locker room, Bill Alfonso and the World Television Champion Rob Van Dam delivered a promo about heading to Japan. Fonzie made a bold claim, saying that if RVD and Sabu didn't return with the ECW World Tag Team titles, the team would split up. RVD said he wouldn't mind if the team split, since he could focus on his singles career. A Pulp Fiction montage ended the show, beginning with Supernova cutting a promo while looking in a mirror. He named all the people that have left him for greener pastures. Because of this, he's out for himself. The Dudley Boys cut a promo from the roof of a building, with Bubba Ray Dudley saying that they hand over the titles personally to RVD and Sabu if they could actually beat them. Bubba said they wouldn't have anybody in their corner, meaning that once they beat RVD and Sabu, they'll be the greatest tag team of all time. Danny Doring hyped up Roadkill, saying he used to work in a slaughterhouse killing chickens. Roadkill would deliver his signature phrase, "chickens." After scolding Chastity, Just Incredible got his promo time, asking what he did to make Tommy Dreamer so angry. Credible said that he has ECW in the palm of his hands, just like Dreamer used to. He said it bothers Dreamer that the fans care more about Credible now. Credible directed his anger back towards Chastity, forcing her to put on a shirt before storming from the building. The December 19th episode of ECW TV featured footage from Korakuen Hall in Tokyo, Japan. The franchise Shane Douglas defended the ECW World Heavyweight Championship against Gato at an FMW event. Douglas nailed Gato with a Fisherman's Buster, scoring a 3 count to retain his title. From Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Jerry Lynn battled Mikey Whipwreck, with Lance Storm and Tammy Lynn Bitch making their way to ringside. Storm tripped up Lynn, with the two brawling on the floor. Whipwreck grabbed Lynn and hit him with a Russian leg sweep against a steel guardrail. Storm again interfered, allowing Mikey to hit a whippersnapper. Miraculously, Lynn kicked out, with Storm again interfering. Things backfired, and Mikey hit the steel chair held by Storm. This allowed Lynn to score a pinfall victory, and Storm to say that Mikey can't even win a match with help. Lynn retaliated, kicking Storm with a baseball slide, but then missing a dive off the top rope. Storm bragged that he took out both Mikey and Lynn without even being in a match. Highlights aired from Japan of the Dudley Boys defending the ECW World Tag Team titles against Rob Van Dam and Sabu in a put-up-or-shut-up match. If RVD and Sabu lost, they'd be forced to split up. In the end, RVD nailed Bubba Ray Dudley with a Van Daminator and scored the pinfall victory with Sabu. RVD and Sabu were crowned the new ECW World Tag Team Champions. The December 26th episode of ECW TV returned to the ECW arena with Justin Credible making his entrance with Jason and Chastity. At ringside, Chastity got into an argument with a woman in the front row. After Credible dismissed Chastity from the ring, she went after the woman in the crowd, with security coming between them. The mystery woman squared up with Chastity in the ring, brawling with her until Credible and Jason pulled them apart. Credible wound up caning Chastity over the head, with the mystery woman getting in a few cheap shots of her own. Ring announcer Bob Ortiz shielded Chastity, with Credible caning him repeatedly until Tommy Dreamer ran in with a chair to make the save. Out came Terry Funk, who said he'd love to kick Dreamer in the balls. Funk called Dreamer a yellow chicken and a gutless coward. He said that Dreamer used him and offered him a free shot. The crowd chanted for Dreamer to fight Funk, while Credible said that if Dreamer wanted to face him, he'd have to go through Funk first. From behind, the mystery woman hit Dreamer with a low blow. This allowed Funk, Credible, and Jason to assault Dreamer. Funk then declared Credible as his new protege, continuing the assault on Dreamer. With a ladder wrapped around Dreamer's leg, Credible used a steel chair to bash the steel ladder. Funk and Credible hit a double spinning toe hold on an injured Dreamer, wrenching away. Yoshihiro Tajiri made his debut, battling Antifaz del Norte in a fast-paced, hard-hitting encounter. Tajiri won the fans over with his thunderous kicks and breathtaking high-flying maneuvers. He displayed his tarantula submission, with the crowd cheering even louder. In the end, Tajiri nailed a dragon suplex and scored the pinfall victory. Robert Gibson was visiting backstage, only to be interrupted by Danny Doring, who claimed that Gibson was his father. Rob Van Dam defended the World Television Championship against Balls Mahoney. Things broke down quickly and spilled into the crowd. RVD hit a somersault plancha off the top rope onto Mahoney in the third row. Back in the ring, RVD nailed a 5-star frog splash with Mahoney barely kicking out. Mahoney battled back and nailed a frog splash of his own with RVD barely kicking out. RVD missed a Van Daminator, connecting with referee Jim Molyneux. Mahoney super kicked a chair into the face of RVD, soon nailing a pile driver onto said chair. The tides turned, with RVD soon hitting a leaping sidekick off the top rope, kicking the chair into the face of Mahoney. Moments later, Mahoney hit RVD with a nutcracker sweep, but only got a 2 count. Mahoney wrapped a steel chair around the head of RVD, with Bill Alfonso breaking a pinfall attempt at 2, but whacking Mahoney over the back of the head with a chair. RVD soon nailed a Van Daminator and hit a 5-star frog splash, scoring a pinfall victory over Mahoney to retain his title. In the main event, Taz defended the unrecognized FTW Championship against Sabu. It only took seconds for Taz to plant Sabu head first with a German Tazplex. Sabu bounced back and put Taz through a table set up in the corner of the ring. Soon, Sabu put Taz through a table with a triple jump splash to the floor. Taz took the fight into the crowd, tossing Sabu off the top of the bleachers. A bloody Sabu staggered back to the ring, with Taz battering him along the way. Taz set up a table in the corner, putting Sabu through it head first with a Dragon Tazplex. ECW World Heavyweight Champion, the franchise Shane Douglas, raced to the ring, screaming for Taz to make the cover. Bill Alfonso threw in the towel, which Taz caught and threw back. Taz dragged Sabu from the rubble, but swerved everyone. He pulled Sabu on top of him, essentially letting him win. With everyone confused, Taz screamed for the referee to make the count, with Sabu crowned the new FTW champion. Correspondent Steve Prazak caught up with Taz in the parking lot, who said he did the heist and now Douglas will pay the price. Meanwhile, medics attended to Sabu in the ring, as Joey Styles asked, why did Taz give away his FTW title? The show closed with Styles saying, "What does this all mean for guilty as charged?" What was Taz's master plan heading into the new year? Find out next time on Squared Circle History.